Hello friends, in this video we are going to discover the top 10 cheap countries to visit in Europe. Kindly make sure to hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon before we start this video about the 10 cheap countries to visit in Europe. Also post your favorite European countries among the list of top 10 cheap European countries to visit with family or friends in the comments below. I'd love to read them and I'm sure others would too. Think Europe is an expensive continent to travel? Then think again. While Western Europe and the Nordics countries are expensive, there are also many countries in Europe where it's much easier to travel on a budget. Traveling to cheap European countries is one of the ultimate goals for budget travelers. Europe offers plenty of beautiful countries for all tastes and interests, from blue coastlines with sandy beaches to winding mountain trails to historical destinations that date back over 1,000 years. Unfortunately, many of these destinations, especially in popular countries such as France, Germany, and the Netherlands, will also stretch your budget to the max. If you're looking for the cheapest European countries to visit, you'll have to think outside the box and head to lesser-known beautiful European countries. Choose the best European countries to visit from our list of the top 10 cheap countries to visit in Europe. Perfect for travelers looking for culture, history, and natural beauty without spending fortunes on traveling to best European countries. Watch this video till the end to find complete information on some of the best and cheapest countries to visit in Europe. These are the top 10 cheap countries to visit in Europe. Ranking European countries, and what they offer for international tourists, may sound like a mission impossible as we all have our personal favorites countries in Europe. Yet, some countries in Europe are so exceptionally beautiful that they should be on everyone's bucket list. These are our favorite top 10 cheap countries to visit in Europe. Number 10 on the list of cheap countries to visit in Europe is Czech Republic. The Czech Republic is not as affordable as it used to be, but if much of your travel is outside the capital city of Prague, you'll be able to find plenty of bargains. This is especially true during the colder months, except for the second half of December, as the weeks around Christmas time are prime tourist season. January and February are the cheapest months, with March through May also offering some great discounts on flights and accommodations. Many of Prague's main attractions are free but also part of many paid tours. Rather than paying to be taken there, it makes more sense to grab a map and explore them on your own. This includes walking on Charles Bridge, stopping by the astronomical clock, and walking the cobblestone streets of Old Town Square and its medieval buildings. Things get much cheaper at other major destinations around the country, including the fairy tale town of Český Krumlov, the unusual town of Sedlec and its ossuary chapel, and the never-ending trails and mountains in Bohemian Switzerland National Park. Even during high season, the hotels at these destinations will be affordable if you book enough in advance. Number 9 on the list of cheap countries to visit in Europe is Montenegro. Montenegro is a very new country. It regained independence in 2006, and one many people couldn't even place on a map. Montenegro is a bit of everywhere in a country still trying to find itself. Expect very cheap food prices as long as you stick to the hearty, meaty local foods such as a meat-stuffed pie like burek. Anything else will mean tourist prices. Most cities also host farmers markets on weekends, a great place to pick up a snack or a quick bite to eat for very cheap. During July and August, the coast of Montenegro is filled with tourists, mainly from Russia, whose citizens don't need a visa to get in. If you're heading to hip coastal Budva or Herceg-Novi towns, skip the summer months. Otherwise, head inland for a visit to rugged mountains, glacial lakes, and UNESCO-walled towns. For example, Crno Jezero, a mountain lake surrounding by deep green bluish forest, is a stunning destination for hiking and swimming and completely free to enjoy. Ada Bojana, a small island away from the pricey shoreline towns, is a prime destination for kite surfing and a lovely summer destination with very affordable prices. Number 8 on the list of cheap countries to visit in Europe is Estonia. Think of the Baltic state of Estonia as a little bit like Scandinavia, but on a budget. Its landscapes are reminiscent of Finland, with its many pine forests and peatlands, while its people are similarly obsessed with saunas and cross-country skiing. Of course, Estonia has a character all to its own, mixing Nordic influences with Baltic culture and some remains of former USSR architecture. Don't miss the fascinating KGB Museum at the Vira Hotel in Tallinn, hiking the Soma National Park, or staying in the university city of Tartu. The tourist center in the capital of Tallinn is relatively expensive, closer to Western European prices at times, though this is only true for a small 2 square kilometer area where the cruise ship tourists go. The rest of Estonia is delightfully budget-friendly, with $10 hostels, $20 to 30 hotels, and $5 to 10 dinners easy to find. Number 7 on the list of cheap countries to visit in Europe is Slovakia. As Slovakia's capital, Bratislava is definitely the most expensive destination in the country, but even here, you can keep your trip cheap by taking advantage of the many free things the city has to offer. In addition to many tiny galleries spread throughout the entire city, Bratislava is also home to lots of street sculptures, from bronze workmen coming out of sewer holes to life-size Napoleon soldiers leaning against benches. Despite being the capital, Bratislava is relatively small and can be easily explored on foot, as most of the attractions and top things to do are located around the old town center area. If you're headed outside the city, trains and buses are cheap and very comfortable. If you're looking for outdoor adventure, however, Slovakia offers plenty of things to do, and most of them are free. The High Tatras, Slovakia's tallest mountains and a massive national park, has hundreds of kilometers of hiking trails. Between June and October, the trails are perfect for hiking and exploring. In winter, many of them become great destinations for snowshoeing, as well as downhill and cross-country skiing. All national parks are free in Slovakia. Slovakia is also home to many UNESCO World Heritage Sites, castles, memorials, and monuments, all free or very cheap to discover. Number 6 on the list of cheap countries to visit in Europe is Hungary. Hungary is one of the most expensive countries in Eastern Europe, but still a fraction of the cost of traveling to major destinations in the western half of the continent. Hungary's capital, Budapest, is home to a long list of free attractions, including walking on the chain bridge across the Danube and exploring the Castle Hill area. Although some of the attractions in the castle area, which includes the Buda Castle and the underground castle labyrinth, aren't free to visit, they're still very affordable. In the month of June, the city sponsors a night of the museums, where you can visit many landmarks around Budapest for free. The neo-Gothic Great Market Hall, Budapest's oldest indoor market, is a great place to search for budget souvenirs and cheap snacks, including many traditional Hungarian foods. Number 5 on the list of cheap countries to visit in Europe is Slovenia. A tiny country surrounded by giants, Italy, Austria, and Hungary are against its borders. Slovenia is a mountainous country covered in forest. Still, most visitors arrive here for the shoreline, sitting against the Adriatic Sea. Slovenia offers plenty of affordable sandy beaches and lots of sun. While the summer season means more expensive accommodations along the coast, the beaches are all public and free, so it's possible to keep the costs to a minimum even during high season. Koper Beach and nearby Mestna Beach, Moon Bay, and the famous seaside resort of Portoros are all very affordable in late spring, when temperatures are already summery, but the tourists haven't arrived yet. Away from the coast, Lake Bled is perhaps the best-known destination. Located just 35 kilometers from the capital city, Ljubljana, the lake is an affordable destination and one of the most stunning sights in the country. Other budget destinations include medieval town Piran, the fortified village of Stand, and Triglav National Park, where you can hike to the top of Mount Triglav in 2 days with an overnight at a mountain hut. Number 4 on the list of cheap countries to visit in Europe is Portugal. Portugal's most attractive destinations are all about nature, sun, and the outdoors, meaning they're mostly free. The Faro district in the south of the country is a popular destination for its soft golden sands, cliffs, and lighthouses, while visitors to Madeira head there for the rugged volcanic hiking trails, the beautiful harbor, and the great scuba diving. The biggest expenses on a trip to Portugal will be food and accommodations, though visiting outside peak season, June to August, will reduce costs considerably. From November to February, prices drop even more, but the temperatures remain around 17 to 18 degrees Celsius, so it's the perfect time to visit to score great bargains. Some of Portugal's most interesting destinations are free to explore, aside from the cost of the transportation to get you there. These include the ancient town of Évora, a World Heritage Site, and the 12th century Templar Castle and Convent of Christ in the town of Tomar. Number 3 on the list of cheap countries to visit in Europe is Greece. You are probably wondering how in the hell Greece ended up on this list. Sure, the most famous tourist islands like Santorini, Rhodes, and Mykonos are definitely pricey. But there are many amazing cities and islands in Greece that you can visit without breaking the bank. Instead of traveling to Mykonos, try spending a few nights on the lovely island of Tinos, where you will find marble villages, terraces, hillsides, beautiful beaches, and excellent deals on accommodation. The island of Lefkada is also home to affordable hotels, casual tavernas, and plenty of attractions. And there are plenty more examples. Greece becomes much cheaper if you avoid the peak month of August. Greece isn't only about the islands. Greece's mainland offers tons of cultural and historical highlights without the high prices seen on the package holiday islands. Number 2 on the list of cheap countries to visit in Europe is Romania. Romania is one of the cheapest destinations in Europe, especially if you're heading to the Carpathian Mountains for some hiking or mainly focused on exploring the countryside. Even a visit to Brasov, home to Dracula's 14th century Bran Castle, can be very affordable if you book a sightseeing day tour or don't mind slow train connections out of Bucharest. Trains aren't always in the best condition in Romania, but they are safe and very cheap. Some of the most beautiful structures in Bucharest, including the 15th century Old Town, Revolution Square, and Romania's own Arch of Triumph, are either free or very cheap to visit. In warmer weather, renting a bike can be a great way to explore smaller cities, or you can join one of the many free walking tours that depart from the center of town. In most cases, it doesn't pay to shop at supermarkets here, as eating out is cheap in Romania, and the meals are hearty and filling. Local specialties such as sarmale, cabbage rolls, cozonac, sweet bread, or mamalica, polenta, usually served with sour cream and strong cheese, are cheap, often sold at street food stalls, and a great way to get a quick intro to Romanian food. Number 1 on the list of cheap countries to visit in Europe is Bulgaria. Bulgaria often tops the list of inexpensive countries to visit in Europe, and with good reason. For starters, Bulgaria remains largely undiscovered by tourists except for the visitors that come over in summer for a cheap vacation alongside the Black Sea. Even then, accommodations, flights, and entertainment will still cost you a fraction of what you would pay in Western Europe. In the off-season, prices drop considerably, and you can ski, eat, and travel around the country for a tenth of what it costs in the West. One of the best parts of visiting Bulgaria is the countryside, where castles, villages, and hiking trails, the Central Balkan National Park tops the list for great hikes and breathtaking views, are either free or very cheap to visit. While Sofia is the first stop for many visitors, smaller cities such as Plovdiv, home to over 200 archaeological sites, are even cheaper to explore. So, which is your favorite European country among the top 10 cheap countries to visit in Europe? While you may have some Europe countries on your travel list, the search for a perfect destination for your much-awaited Europe trip is never easy. Well, that's all we have for you today. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the content of this video, click the subscribe button so you can receive more content like this. Post your favorite European countries among the 10 cheap countries to visit in Europe in the comments below. I'd love to read them and I'm sure others would too.